Hey, yo, and what is up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me once again today here on the channel as we are here for some more breaking news. It is Friday, August the 11th. We are just 1 week away, a little bit over 1 week away from the biggest party in the summer as WWE presents SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn coming at us next weekend, and I simply cannot wait. But we've got a couple of great stories to talk about today, including Vince McMahon being furious with the King of Strong Style following that bump spot on SmackDown Live last week, and why superstar Billy Graham has decided to call Vince McMahon a crybaby. And we also have big news in the women's division. Hopefully it leads to things turning around for them. All that and so much more right here and right now on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much once again for joining us here. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. I am your host, Nick Nightmare, along with the champ of microphones, the World Heavyweight Champion, Blue the Snowball, and we are here today to talk about a couple of things that are happening in and around SummerSlam. We're not going to so much graze the topic of SummerSlam or NXT. We are going to save that for a little bit later on in the week as we have our preview and prediction show coming at you next Friday. Today, we are going to focus on some of the news and rumors that are going on. As I said at the top of the show, we got a story about Vince being mad at Nakamura, but I want to start off this show talking about what's going to be going on in the women's division. And there are talks right now with the WWE and Ronda Rousey. Everybody's reporting it, everybody's talking about it, so we're going to chime our 2 cents in. And the biggest thing that could happen with the acquisition of Rousey is this proposed, very highly looked upon by the WWE storyline involving both factions of 4 horsewomen. Now, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, the MMA universe, the UFC, all of encompassing MMA, have 4 women that have monikered their group as the 4 horsewomen. This was just shortly before the rise of the NXT women's division and the incoming women's revolution for the WWE, where Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte and Becky Lynch would dub their little group the 4 horsewomen. Obviously, they kind of have a little bit more right to the name, being that the lead dog of the 4 horsewomen of NXT is the daughter of the originator of the 4 horsemen. Everybody fucking knows that. You'd have to be stupid and living under a rock to not know that Charlotte Flair's father is the leader of the 4 horsemen, the original and only 4 horsemen that ever mattered in all of pro wrestling. The 4 horsewomen thing that might be going on is it has potential to do one of 2 things. It's going to break the mold of what they've already established as this new women's revolution, which has amounted to absolutely nothing, and send it in a more legit and more entertaining path so that the women can be showcased properly. Or we could get more of the WWE bullshit booking, because they've proven that they don't know what to do with what they have already. And if you are going to bring 4 legitimate badass females into the WWE and put them up against your fluff and stuff fucking women's roster that are not performing the way that they all could, because they are all just as talented as the MMA girls, these girls could go, man. All 8 of these girls are absolute fantastic performers. And if done correctly, this could be the biggest thing that ever happened to women's wrestling. There's rumors circulating that, after their first so-called encounter during the Mae Young Classic, which we will all get to see at the end of the month, the 4 horsewomen of MMA were present at the show to support one of their own who is taking part in the tournament, and that would be Shayna Baszler, who has made her WWE debut in the tournament. And at ringside, you had Ronda Rousey and the other two girls. I have their names here somewhere. Darn it. Marina Shafir, and Jessamine Duke, and Ronda Rousey. These are the four horsewomen of MMA. They were ringside. Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley were at ringside. Sasha Banks was off doing some promo in Australia. And there was some sort of a face-off across the aisle. So the seeds are planted, and the next rumored storyline encounter that is going to happen is supposedly going to take place during the September 12th finale of the Mae Young Classic, which will happen live on the WWE Network that day. If this is truly where they are looking to go with it, I wish them the best, and I hope to God that they are not stupid enough to blow this. This is an opportunity you have, unlike any before, to absolutely blow the women's division out of the water, have them be featured in high-profile events, more main events, and things of that nature, and then you have this culminate. The time frame alone allows you to build in a storyline between these females enough to blow this whole thing off at Survivor Series. The money match in here, as far as everybody's concerned right now, is Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. That would obviously, in my view, be a WrestleMania caliber match, depending on how Ronda Rousey's training has been going. She has been being trained by cruiserweight specialist and Eva Marie failure, Brian Kendrick. So his track record, I don't know much more outside of him training Eva Marie as far as the women's division is concerned. But if that shows to be any kind of inkling as to what kind of help Ronda Rousey's going to get, then she's in for a shitload of trouble. Because Brian Kendrick has not proven to be effective. Eva Marie had not improved even a lick from what we've seen her doing on Total Divas. We saw more action on Total Divas from her training and the backstage shit that we saw on that than we've seen in the ring. And there were moments where you would believe that, alright, maybe this girl would get it, but obviously she didn't have it in her heart as she fucking took off, and we could all do a happy little dance about that. We haven't talked about it much because I don't talk about Eva Marie. We don't care about her. So the fact that she's gone is fucking fantastic. So let's do a little goodbye fucking Eva dance and we'll move on. Brian Kendrick has a lot of work to do, but this time he has a bona fide athlete on his hands. Somebody who is accustomed to getting trained for big fights, and possibly she could adapt and take the WWE style and infuse some of her own style and make a character of Ronda Rousey in the WWE, backed by her group of four horsewomen, going one-on-one against the four horsewomen of NXT, or they will probably turn it into WWE. And the one thing that I think would absolutely come of this would be, it would finally fix Bayley, if done properly. Because you can't have Bayley look like a schmuck and come off like a little kid going up against some of the best women fighters in the world. So she would immediately be elevated up to that level and be equal to that of a Charlotte and a Becky and a Sasha, even though they have not showcased her in that light. And that's where she needs to be. That underdog, nobody believes she's going to win, and then she pulls off maybe an upset victory over Ronda Rousey, because Bayley is a wrestler's wrestler, and Ronda Rousey is a UFC fighter who's learning how to wrestle, and you put the wrestler over, and you get heat on Ronda Rousey that way when she's going after Bayley. It would be the only way to fix it. She's so broken at this point, not just physically with her shoulder, but just emotionally broken. You could see it in her face, and the character is dead. And this would be the absolute best way to revitalize Bayley upon her return from this injury. Having the girls have her back, and, maybe it'll be 3-on-4 for a while, and then, they go, who we need to get? We need to get Bayley. And the universe is going to be like, Bayley? Why not Alexa? Why not Nia? Why not this? Because it's four horsewomen versus four horsewomen. Bayley earned her spot in the four horsewomen. If you do not know the real Bayley, just go back and watch some NXT, and you will see why she's one of them. And it would be the best way to go about this reset of the Bayley character. It would definitely get it going in the right direction. I absolutely hope that this is their future plan, and that I didn't just think of it better than they do, which is often the case, but I hope that this is at least the train of thought that's going on backstage. By doing this storyline, you could fix Bayley, you can get the women of the UFC who are now going to be full-time WWE employees over. Send a couple back down to NXT if you have to when the storyline ends. Keep Ronda and maybe the other ones, whichever one of the other ones best perform on the main roster. Maybe you send them to SmackDown now that they're done playing on Raw, and you have 1,000,001 possibilities that can come from this, and it is absolutely fantastic. I cannot fucking wait if it is actually going to happen, and all I can pray for is that all the pieces, all the ladies involved, have all their little duckies in a row and perform the way I know they are all capable of doing. So we are definitely looking forward to that. The next big thing we got to talk about, and really the only big thing we got to talk about, is Vince McMahon. Now, whenever we talk about Vince McMahon, it's usually in a negative light. I hate talking about him in a negative light, but unfortunately that's just the way it goes, because he gives us so much to feed off of and to attack him with. And the fact that Vince McMahon was angry, visibly angry backstage after SmackDown Live this past Tuesday, and presumably attacked Shinsuke Nakamura based off of the bump that we all saw, that very uncomfortable bending of the neck on that exploder suplex spot. And it makes me think that Vince McMahon truly is out of touch. He does not understand his own product. There is no reason to be angry with somebody for an accident. Especially since at the end of it all, John Cena came out of it just fine. Yes, it was scary. But the fact is, the way I think of Vince McMahon nowadays, when he seen that happen, all he saw were dollar signs dropping out of his pocket. He thought Cena was hurt and that his golden boy, his cash cow, was going to be on the shelf now, that he needs him more than ever. There is so much wrong with that statement. Not only does he only really care about how much money he's losing, he doesn't realize that John Cena is not the money anymore. He's not. I don't care what you say. He is a legend in the business now. He does draw and he sells merch to little children. Fantastic. He's not what the WWE should be worried about centralizing themselves around anymore. So the fact that he could have possibly lost John Cena, that being the reason for his tirade on Nakamura, just makes him absolutely out of touch. Because superstar Billy Graham would come out and start, poking the bear and telling everybody that Vince McMahon is a crybaby. Back in the day, Vince Sr. would never have cried about something like this, and that it is very, very well known back in those days that even a guy at the top level like Bruno Sammartino would go out there, he'd go one-on-one against a guy like Ivan Koloff or a Stan Hansen, take a bad lariat, end up with a broken neck. And Big Vince didn't sit there and scold Ivan Koloff and get angry with anybody who may have done the injury to his superstar. He focused his attention on fixing his guy and getting him back in the ring. Whether that's good or not is up for debate, but the apple truly has fallen far from the tree. He's taken this industry and turned it into such a corporate entity that it's almost a parody of itself. The fact that he would get angry with Shinsuke for something like this is proof of all of this. And superstar Billy Graham's absolutely right in this scenario. You know, back in the 70s and even in the 80s when Hogan was running wild, and by the way, happy birthday, Hulkster. It was not uncommon for guys to go out there with broken necks, broken elbows, broken fingers, still compete. Now these guys stub their toe and they're off the fucking roster for 3 weeks. We're going to rehab. We're thinking twice about sending them out there. You gotta send them out there to perform. Nobody gets better if they're not performing. The reason why guys like Billy Graham and Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Rick Steamboat and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and all of the greats that have graced our television and pro wrestling, one of the reasons why they were so good at their job, whether it was Hogan, being the crowd guy and the performance guy, or it was Flair being the pro wrestler, they practiced every single night, sometimes twice on fucking Sunday, and that's how you got better. Now these guys are wrestling once or twice a week. Your body's not accustomed to taking bumps every single night. You're not callousing up. You're not hardening up. You're not getting your body used to being as physical as it's supposed to be. And you go out there and you tweak an ankle, or you pull this, or you pop a shoulder. Guys got injured all the time. Injuries are not new. It's how they handle the injuries now that are killing these guys. Not that I'm saying they should have put them out there and force these guys to work hurt. But you need to prioritize what an injury really is. Every time a guy bumps his head, we're going to fucking worry about a concussion now, and maybe that's appropriate, and I don't mean to come off sounding, unsympathetic to those who may have been getting hit in the head too much or concussed. I mean, I'm not saying we have to go out there and be The Rock versus fucking Mankind and hit you 19 times on the head to entertain the crowd. But you can't let every little bump and every little bruise sideline a guy. Take somebody off of TV. Take somebody out of action. Look at Daniel Bryan. This is the scenario that encompasses it all. Here, the company is with a guy who still gets a bigger reaction than half their fucking crowd. I mean, half their roster from the crowd. He comes out, he is obviously still as loved as he's ever been. People cheer more for Daniel Bryan and still do the yes chant more than any other chant on the roster, besides possibly the "you suck" during Kurt Angle's entrance. That is the only thing going on right now that can rival Daniel Bryan entering an arena. And you refuse, even though he's gotten doctor's clearances and he tells you constantly that he feels great and that he's been working on a new wrestling style that's less impactful to his head and neck, and you won't allow him to do what he wants to do. And here's a man that's riding out his contract until that 0 hour, and he's either going to go somewhere else and wrestle, or he's going to stay here and continue to draw the paycheck and get the money because he's a new dad, and it's hard to weigh passion versus pay, because you need pay to pay your bills and worry about your kids and do everything you got to do, but your passion is what you want to be fueled by. It's what you want to show to the world. It's what you want to do with every hour of your day, every minute of every day. That's passion. Like guys like me with wrestling, I'm passionate about it. I need to be involved about it, around it. When I'm there in a live scenario, there's no greater feeling. I feel like I belong on the other side, that I shouldn't be sitting as a fan, that I should be backstage helping out. It's just something within me. It's a driving force. And no matter what I've done, whether I'm playing my guitar or I'm drawing some pictures throughout my life, some of my favorite things to do is play wrestling entrance themes. Some of my favorite things to draw have been some of my favorite pro wrestlers. Designing title belts of my own, all types of things like that. That's passion. And you let it out in any outlet you can. That's what you love the most. Daniel Bryan loves wrestling the most, and their skirting around injury issues is keeping him from doing what he loves for the biggest wrestling company in the world, despite the fact that he was clearly the next huge John Cena level star in the company's history. So this, again, Vince McMahon Nakamura thing just is going to show each and every one of us how uber sensitive everybody is and how the WWE just doesn't even understand wrestling anymore. And they're more concerned about the bottom line of the dollars and the cents than actually putting on a great wrestling show. And the sad part of it is, the real easy equation that would solve everything is this: great wrestling show equals great wrestling profits. Doesn't matter how many shows you cut from the network, how much pyro you take away, it doesn't matter. You're not going to make money unless you're putting on good wrestling content. And that, my friends, is the bottom line. There is no greater way I could put it than that. That's what they need to learn. That's why 1997 and 98 and 99 leading into 2000 was so fantastic. Because all we got was cream of the crop level wrestling. Guys like The Rock and Triple H going out there and laying it down every single night, trying to be the best match on the card. And who did they have to try to rival them? Guys like The Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Triple H would also have some of the greatest matches of all time with Mankind in this time period. The birth of the Hell in the Cell. The incoming of Kane. It was just every single week, cannot miss TV. And when you put that out there, the fans are going to come in droves. They can't even sell out SummerSlam. You've got Shinsuke Nakamura in line to become the World Heavyweight Champion. You got AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens one-on-one. And you have a fatal four-way main event featuring the four biggest, baddest names in pro wrestling right now. And you can't sell out the Barclays Center because your shows suck. Monday Night Raw sucks every week. Sure, it's been okay in the last few renditions of it, but in the end, it sucks because I'm not that excited for SummerSlam. You're not that excited for SummerSlam. Don't tell me that you are. Sure, there's going to be some good match, and of course there's going to be some match that steals the show, because there's always got to be a best match, and I'm sure we're going to have a worst match that we'll be here talking about on the review. But all in all, the shows have not translated into a reason to have to watch SummerSlam. On the other hand, NXT, watching that show every week, 1 hour a week. One. And you've got my interest piqued on every single storyline match that is happening at the card so far. As has been the tradition for the last 2 years, NXT is looking to outperform, and outshine SummerSlam before we even get to that weekend. But that's what I think about it. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments section. Don't forget to light it up. Let me know if I'm wrong, if I'm right, if you like me, if you hate me. I don't care. I accept all comments. Because, the power of the block button, it's a real thing. And, if I don't like what you have to say, all I gotta do is send you to the bench nice and quick. As I've had to do with a couple of people. I don't like to do it, but sometimes if you step over the line and you want to be a jerk, you're out of here, just like everybody else. Also want to remind everybody, do not forget to tune in to the show Monday afternoon. This Monday, August the 14th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A very, very special edition of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show will be up, including a very, very big, so big I can't even show it to you on this little screen, big announcement for the show, and I want you guys to be here. Make sure you don't miss it. Also, coming this weekend in and around SummerSlam, we're going to have our preview and prediction show. We are going to have a very special return of Gimme 5. We're going to have a Gimme 5 list on my biggest NXT failures, the biggest flops in NXT history. And it might not be exactly what you're thinking. Don't forget to keep your eyes open for that. Also, House of Glory High Intensity 6 coming at us this Friday. I will be there live. We will have some coverage of that of some sort on this channel, as we always do. House of Glory fans, don't forget to check it out. Hoping to see everybody down there that I always see, and looking forward to having another great fucking night of wrestling and meeting the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. It's going to be fucking excellent. That entire weekend is going to be very excellently executed by yours truly. And I am your host, Nick Nightmare. Thank you guys so much for coming along this ride with us today. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone, the world heavyweight champion of microphones, and we are out of here. Thank you for watching. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV, and we will see you next time. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Talk to you later.